Welcome back to Forza Naples. I'm Ian, joined as always by Paul. Be sure to follow us on social media, Forza Naples Pod on Instagram, Forza Naples on Blue Sky. Shoot us an email, forzanaples239@gmail.com. Get in touch with the show. We love hearing from you. Missed last week due to some work conflicts. But Paul, we're back, and FC Naples in the playoffs.
In the playoffs. I thought we were going to get a little more excitement out of you in the intro like we used to have back when we were top of the table. Um, Really exciting that we clinched in such a dominant fashion against a good team that is sitting just outside of the playoff bracket. So it was a great win. I think we set a club high franchise record for goals in a game. So all around an exciting Saturday night.
Yeah, a
And we
great,
got to do it at home. And we got to
yeah,
do it at home.
doing it at home in front of a great crowd. Just a beautiful night too. All around, you couldn't ask for much better than that. 4 goals at home against a good side in AV Alta, against a fellow expansion side, and against a side that beat us 4-1 on the road. We turn around, we beat them 4-0 at home. Just a great game. Let's go back to we won't touch on it too much, but the loss ended our long unbeaten streak in the league. A 1-0 loss to Portland. Unfortunate, I thought they had a goal, rightly so, called a penalty. I thought Dangler made himself bigger, handball, pretty easy for the referee. Ollie Wright for them, slotted at home. And then just, we showed a lot of fight, especially we did go down to 10 men for the last 10 minutes. A lot of fight there, just really unfortunate, I thought, not to come out of it with a point. Thought we were deserving of it. Lots of back and forth with Portland. If that unfortunate penalty doesn't happen, I think it ends 0-0. And I think, we were in it till the end. Just unfortunate, 1-0. But then to bounce back, I said we weren't going to dwell on it too much. Bouncing back, we come out Saturday night, guns a-blazing. First half for FC Naples looked a bit like the Ryder Cup this year, dominated by our Euros with Jadon Onan and Kevin O'Connor. 2 first half goals, and both great goals at that.
Yeah, I think that looking back to Portland, I think the most disappointing part of that match was we didn't get to watch you drink 9 beers. For those of you guys that are remember a couple episodes, Ian did commit to drinking 9 beers if we got 9 points. That didn't happen. So once again, you're off the hook on your challenges.
Yep.
Somebody's looking out for you. But yeah, I wonder, it'd be interesting to listen to people who listen to the show if they watch soccer like this. Late in that Portland game, I ended up thinking if we get a goal here, this is going to feel like a win. Like I really have started thinking about these draws as a draw that feels like a win, or a draw that feels like a loss.
Yep.
The boring ones are the draws that feel like a draw. You kind of just are always like, yeah, this game was going to be 1-0 or 1-1 or 0-0. But it does provide the excitement. I really did. I'm with you. I thought we had a point in us. But again, the boys put it right behind them, just like we probably would have said on the pod had we done one. Time to move on and get a big 3 points against Alta. And I think the best part, right? Portland, I think, was a late penalty, so I'm not going to count that. But our last 15 minutes of halves have almost swung the other way, where we're scoring a lot of goals in the last 15 minutes, in the first 15 minutes of halves, which I think is a night and day difference from our struggles in the summer, where it was just a given that between 30 and 45, we were giving up a goal.
Yeah, coming out a lot stronger at the end of the halves. Like you said, it was a penalty, and it was in the last 15 minutes, which unfortunate because it kind of proved our streak wrong. But you look at the game before that against Charlotte. Charlotte was really taking it to us at the end of both halves, and to hold on there and keep them goalless was huge. And then same thing against AV Alta. AV Alta they pretty much dominated possessions. Again, didn't really do much with it. I thought Delgado had maybe 2 good saves, and we'll kind of get to him later on with him going off late in that game with an injury, and seemed like he was kind of carrying a knock against Portland as well with a leg wrapped up and stuff. But yeah, we've really seemed to figure something out here at the back, and I don't know if it's teams just not being able to figure us out or take advantage of us, or if it's something's finally starting to click and we've kind of stopped giving up as many goals as we were, or the unfortunate just switch off goals like we did against Westchester a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and it's, probably became a focal point when it started being when it became a trend, especially when it first started happening. It's still so early in the year that it's kind of hard to be right to point to anything. But when it starts happening, 5 out of 6 games, and you're now the worst team at a statistical category, um, you got to figure something out. And I think our style has changed a little bit more, and it almost seems like we're going back to what we did earlier in the year, at least this game specifically. It felt like a very counter strike game. And if you look at all the metrics, that this is a game that probably should have ended 1-1, 2-2. To see a 4-0 score line with the stats put up by both teams. I know you mentioned, AV Alta didn't really have too many dangerous chances, but they just had the ball, it felt like all game. Um, but that high press, we get the first turnover that leads to Onan's goal, and just a few more bangers only from OC Cisneros, and who's the fourth one?
Ian Sarah.
Sarah. So um, yeah, I mean, just what a fun environment it looked like. I think the social media team did a really good job of getting the post out quick, celebrating the goals. I know USL League One posted a couple videos. So um, is that a win that you think sets us up for? Is that kind of an indicator for how we're going to do in the postseason?
I hope so. Just seeing us being able to adapt styles and really take it, like you said, it was a blast from the past. So if we just kind of let them have the ball and let them do whatever they wanted with it in that middle third, then they kind of broke into our final third. We defended really well, super disciplined at the back. Didn't give them a whole lot. Like I said, I think Delgado had two good, really good saves. Um, I think that, and they ended up with 6 shots on target according to the stats, which most of those I thought were pretty much routine, and it's the same as us. So then when we did get our chances and when we did hit them on the break, we capitalized. We saw that with Onan's goal really early on, where it was just a big ball looping over the top, and we hit him on the break, caught him out, and just a great, cool as you like finish by him. Same thing with the O'Connor goal, I think it was off a corner or a free kick, I think at midfield that gets played in, shots blocked. It just kind of falls to O'Connor, who has a shot, take a deflection, and blast into the net. Like, oh, perfect. That's kind of the bounces and what we needed in that situation, and we got it. And then you have the second half start, and Cisneros continues on. I mean, he's every time he scores, it's got to be up for goal of the week, right? Because that was just a great finish of him breaking down the left man, breaking down the left wing, beating his man, beating another man, cutting inside, and then just finishing. Just you can't ask for much more. Great goal. And then Ian Sarah coming off the bench, and he is our first substitute to score. So first player to come off the bench and score for us all season and in franchise history, I guess, by saying that. So to make it 4-0 against a good AV Alta side, it was almost, I think I was joking during the game, I hope we're not scoring too many goals that we run out for, our last few games. But 4 games left now, you got to think that's going to carry some momentum as we go into the home stretch now of this run-in.
Yeah, you mentioned the bangers only goals. It's automatic for them. But yeah, it's a good win, and I think the bigger thing is navigating the difficult schedule. I think I was on the opinion that I would have been more surprised getting 9 points and versus getting 0 points. So to come out of this with 6 points against playoff teams, and then really what could have been another point against Portland. I'm excited. I think that this team it is in form. We talked about peaking at the right time. They're doing that, and it's fun to celebrate clinching a playoff spot, but important to know like work's not done for the regular season. Spokane, we're a point up, but Spokane's got a game in hand, and guess who we play next, right? Like, is Spokane next, or are they in two
No,
match
so
days
we've got Omaha,
at
then
Union
Westchester, then we're home to Spokane, and then home to
and
Charlotte.
Charlotte? Yeah, right. So we still do get to play Spokane, which gives us um the ability to keep our spot there. But Portland's only 4 points behind. They are 13 of the last 15 points. They're looking really good. We got a tough Union Omaha team coming up. So yeah, I mean, great that we got to celebrate the win, but there's still a lot to play for in the last four matches. So um, I think it's going to be crucial to get that home playoff game. I don't think it's going to matter kind of where we end up between 2 and 4, but you we really need that home game because I think we have probably one of the better home field advantages, maybe outside of Portland, in the league.
Yeah, agree with you there. I think we've clinched our spot above the playoff line, right? But now I think we've got to have another almost invisible line there for that top four. We need to clinch top four to get that home playoff game, to get that crowd behind us, especially in our first season as a team. I think that would just be an electric atmosphere, and it's gonna be a tough run in here. There's still a lot to play for, a lot on the line, but at the same time, knowing that we're in the playoffs, do you kind of start to have some more squad rotation? We saw that with Dangler injured this past game, so we saw Gustavo Fernandez come in, who I thought did an excellent job and is more than capable of holding the fort down back there. Do we start to see kind of that squad rotation going into these last four games, maybe giving some of these guys who we haven't normally seen in the starting 11 a spot in that 11? Or do we need to be all out in these last four games to get that home playoff spot?
Yeah, right. I think the hope is that, October 25th, we play Charlotte Independence. I think the goal is for that game to mean nothing, or winning it wins us the regular season title. Um, I could see us, if we've clinched a home game, that last game could be a full, kind of a half game for some of the starters. Um, whether it's first half, second half, whatever, a combination of both, maybe trying out different formations, different lineups. But I really think you could maybe see that Westchester game be a rotational game as well, um, where we start kind of the backups, and then knowing you got the likes of maybe an Onan or Farine, maybe a Henderlong, you keep them on the bench in the first half, um, and just see if we need them to scrape out points. But kind of like we played when we played Westchester last time, that's a game that you got to be circling 3 points on the road. I don't know if you've tried any of the math, but I think it's going to take. I think 50 points is going to be the magic number for a home spot. Meaning we got to win one, draw three, win two, something. I think 50 is going to be that magic number.
Yep. Portland is currently in fifth place, so they're one out, and they have five games to play.
6 games. They got six. No, they have 6 games. 40 points, 24 games played. Did I miss? They played today. Did I miss something? My standings not updated.
I'm double checking the math here.
Get our producer on the line. This is a pre-production issue right here. I s-
I show they've played 24.
mhm.
Yeah, I think I'm missing a game here.
Right. So I'm thinking that I think Portland is in Spokane. We have a game in hand on them. So I think 50 is the low bar without looking at who they play. Um, I think minimum you're going to need 50 if you want to host a playoff game.
Yeah. It's gonna be 10, so 6 more points for
Minimum.
us minimum to lock in that
And
host spot.
because the worst case scenario, and I don't want to be negative Nancy here, but if we slip to 5 and have to go to Portland round one, I don't think that there's a worse I don't think there's a worse place to go. And the
No.
hope is that Portland gets knocked out and is not a team with the way they're playing. I would probably put them as number one, even though we played them really competitively. And not that I don't think we could beat them. I just think that going to Portland is going to be a really tough matchup for whatever team ends up there.
Yeah, not to mention all the lines on the field, but in addition to all the crazy lines on that field,
It'll be a brutal game to watch.
it's going to be a brutal game to watch. They've got a great atmosphere, it seems. It's going to be cold because Portland's always cold and rainy, it seems. And then also, we've had 3 players sent off in Portland in 2 games there. So, it's not a great shot. I think Portland's definitely the team we want to avoid if we can in the first round. Not that we can't or not capable of beating them. I think we are more than capable, but just not a team you really want to be playing, like you mentioned. But
Yeah,
then
and if they got to come down to South Florida, I'm totally on board with that. I don't know if there's home cooking, these refs that are eating some lobster bisque up there or something, and getting deals on their meals if they're sending our guys off. But that's a crazy stat. I know that we've had guys sent off, but to think about it like that is kind of crazy to think about that the majority of our guys sent off have been in Portland.
yeah, I did with one of the Portland Hearts of Pine podcasters. I did mention if I had a nickel for every red card we had at a game in Maine, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened 3 times.
Hmm. It's
Um,
one of my favorite sayings. But yeah, it is. It's just not a place I think we want to be playing. Quite frankly, we don't want to be playing anywhere but Paradise Sports Complex around one of the playoffs. Um, I think that the club knows that and has that hunger. This doesn't seem like a team that's going to take a break because they clinched the playoff spot. That does not seem like Matt Poland's way of doing it. So I think that brings us to Union Omaha and a team that's sitting in 6th right now, um, kind of at arm's distance and probably not a contender for a home playoff game, but still a team that's picked up 11 of 15, unbeaten in the last 5. What are your thoughts as we head to Nebraska?
yeah, so we have played them once before. We played them earlier this season, back in May at home, beat them 3-1. Union Omaha, defending champions, seems to be pretty good. They actually just knocked off yesterday, as of the recording this, so Saturday, they beat the league leaders Chattanooga Red Wolves 3-0 in Chattanooga. Big win for them. They've been on a really long hot streak. They are, I think, 6 or 7 games unbeaten. So they kind of
7.
have 7 unbeaten. They seem to have turned a corner. I can't read my own handwriting when I do actually do prep for this show. But yeah, they seem to have probably turned a corner here. They're hot, getting hot at the right moment. They are home to Portland on Wednesday. So that's going to be a big game for our home playoff spot hopes. But yeah, then coming into their Sunday night, I think it's going to be tough for us. Another baseball field stadium. Um, I do like our chances though. I think we've also turned a corner. We are in great form. I'm ready for the challenge, ready for anything. Hopefully we can come out with a positive result, if at least a point, if not all 3.
Yeah, I think that this is another great test, and that's kind of the fun part of this stretch of the schedule is that we're facing playoff teams. Um, I think when we beat them earlier in the year, they were kind of figuring stuff out. They weren't very good at that time, and I think that they were kind of a contender to be one of the bottom teams in the league. I think they had one win going into that point, but yeah, they're a good team, and you're right. They beat uh Chattanooga, and then they drew with Spokane and Knoxville. So this is a team playing top of the table teams tough. Um, they demolished Texoma. I mean, that just warms my heart watching teams beat up on Texoma. Um, yeah, so they're scoring goals, but they're also showing that they can be scored on. Right, giving up 2 to Spokane, 2-1 Knoxville. So I think this is going to be another showcase opportunity. It's going to be a playoff environment there. And I think we're really fortunate that they have a midweek match against Portland. Um, and I think the tone can shift, but one of them has to drop some points on Wednesday. So that'll be interesting. Probably on my watch list. Except that it is at 10 o'clock Pacific time, so I will not be watching that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's 10 a.m. your time,
10 a.m.
1 p.m. Eastern. So if you are bored at work and want to watch something on ESPN Plus, 1
Must be some
1 p.m. Eastern.
must be some fall baseball going on that the high school needs to use the field, so they have to have an early match. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
good
another
good warm up for the Champions League on Wednesday too for all those games.
perfect. It is a perfect tune-up. For that same level, you won't be disappointed going from
No,
that to Champions League.
sure it'll
It's
be the
really you can't
same
tell.
amount of people at the games too.
There's probably the same amount of people at that game. If we set an over under at 25 people watching that game in the stands, what are you going with?
I think I'm gonna go over because I'm sure it's some sort of school holiday thing, or like they're taking all the kids there on
Mm.
buses. So I think it'll be actually pretty packed.
All right, well, I want you to take a little screenshot and see if we can count 25 people in their stands Wednesday afternoon. Do a little recon
Yeah,
for the page. Um,
I mean, I think Omaha versus Portland is basically it's going to be a perfect segue to lead you into Barcelona versus PSG at 3 p.m. Eastern.
yeah,
I think if you
I mean,
closed your eyes and squinted, you wouldn't know the difference.
no, and I really think that it's a great continuation of the awesome sports weekend we had. It's really a shame that this isn't a Monday fixture because it would fall right in line with the great Sunday, great Saturday slates we've had, and then Ryder Cup, right into Omaha, Portland, USL League One.
Yeah, it's a shame. We need to call USL League One and have them move that game. Maybe we can
Move that
somehow
game.
classify Wednesday as a weekend.
Yes. Yeah. So it'll be a fun rest of the road. Season. Yeah, we clinched. We popped some champagne, although it didn't look like it from their picture on social media. So I'm hoping there's a little more celebrating that went on. Rightfully so. But yeah, the boys have played really hard. They deserve that celebration, and I'm sure Saturday night down at Mercado was the place to be. Um, but like a good coach, Matt Poland got right back to work Sunday, I'm sure, and it's going to have the boys ready for Saturday, I guess Sunday. Um, so
Yeah, it seems like you just got to be ready for Sunday. Like we said, job's not done. We want that home playoff game. We really want that home playoff game. Let's go out and clinch it, and to have a home playoff game in front of these fans that have been awesome to say the least all season, I think would be huge. Taking a look at the playoff table now. Let's play another edition of Who's In, Who's Out. So you've got us have officially clinched a playoff spot at 44 points. Technically, Spokane, Portland, Omaha, South Georgia, Charlotte, AV Alta, Greenville, and I think we'll go all the way down to Madison, who's on 29 points. There's 5 points out of the playoffs right now, but with games to play. Who do you like? Who do you think? Sorry, let me restart here. So we've got currently in the playoffs Charlotte, South Georgia, Union, Omaha, Portland, and Spokane are all in playoff spots but have not clinched playoff spots. Do you think any of them don't make it?
I'm not going to lie to you, I zoned out. So I'm going to assume that you asked me from Spokane down to South Georgia Tormenta. Was that the question?
I did, and well to Charlotte because AV Alta. So you've
So
got
that's where I draw the line. That's why I wanted to clarify, right? I think it would really surprise me. And I think when we did this last time, I kind of had Charlotte locked in. And then I looked at how their form was and was like, "Ooh, Charlotte, although they're in fifth or sixth, whatever they were at the time, I think I changed it to where I had Charlotte missing the playoffs, and I'd be blown away if Spokane to South Georgia, if any of those teams, Portland, Union, Omaha, if any of those four teams miss the playoffs, I would be very surprised, especially because three of those four teams have a game or two in hand, and their form is looking really good, although Spokane's lost 2 in a row, and hasn't won 4 straight games. I just don't know how you can look at Charlotte right now and seeing 4 losses out of 5. And I don't think that includes the game we beat them. So,
No.
um, they've been bad for a while, and they're just really fortunate that AV Alta has also been really bad, um, for a while. So I still think AV Alta catches them, without diving into their scheduling. I think that's the only drama we may or may not have is can AV Alta catch Charlotte? Because I just don't think Charlotte is going to move from 8. Like I think that the 8 seed, which is almost fitting for how this league works, that if you win the league, you're going to get one of the worst teams in the worst forms, at home, right? Almost like a bye. Um, because I think whoever kind of fills that 8 seed is going to not do well against either Chattanooga, Knoxville, us, but whoever ends up winning the league and getting to host Charlotte or AV Alta. Um, Greenville maybe sneaks in, but I just don't. I think that's too many points to catch Charlotte and AV Alta. So I'm going to stick with AV Alta gets in over Charlotte Independence. And I'm sure next week when we do this, I'm going to change my mind back to Charlotte.
Yeah, Greenville's got 4 games left. I think they can. I think they can catch Charlotte. They've won, 2 in a row now. They just beat Spokane 1-0 in Spokane, but they've got tough games coming up with Chattanooga, Omaha, South Georgia, and Knoxville. So all teams, all playoff teams, and all teams fighting for home field advantage or just to keep that playoff spot. So I think it'll be tough. They're really going to need to prove themselves. But I think it's doable for Greenville to get in, especially given how bad Charlotte and AV Alta have been. So I think Greenville's the team that I'm kind of looking out for here as the season comes to an end.
So you made me do a dive, because you pointed at teams. I don't know if Charlotte or Greenville wins another game. AV Alta and Charlotte do play, and I think that that's going to be an awesome, um, is going to be an awesome matchup. But AV Alta gets both Texoma and the Richmond Kickers. That should be 6 points for them, with Charlotte in between, and then they end the year with Portland. Um, so I'm thinking max that they're going to find is 6 points as well. So I could see Charlotte not winning another point, and I could see Greenville not getting another point just because their schedules are daunting. And AV Alta has 2 what should be wins left on their schedule.
Yeah, but AV
Um,
Alta's also not won since July.
it's a good point. Probably since they waxed us, they've been struggling. So yeah, I really don't. It's going to create a little bit of drama, just a little bit, down at the end of the year.
Yeah, this should be fun. If you're keeping score at home, there are 2 home games left. Last 2 games of the season for FC Naples, Saturday, October 18th and Saturday, October 25th. Mark your calendars, both at 7 p.m. Taking on Spokane and Charlotte. Still a lot to play for. We're technically still in the running here to win the league. If you're keeping score at home, we are 4 points back at Chattanooga with 4 games to play. They've got 5 games to play. So plenty of time, plenty of points still available to us. Maybe we'll see Chattanooga and Knoxville keep dropping some points. Who knows? But yeah, lots still to play for. It's going to be a fun little run in here. Paul, anything else you want to add before we go?
Yeah, before we go to score predictions, so we didn't do that. I got a text from my buddy the other day asking if I wanted to go to the Jägermeister championship game because the Oakland Roots were in it. I said, surely that cannot be right. Oakland is probably the worst USL team, in both divisions. They are horrible. There is no possible way the Oakland Roots are in the championship. I was correct. However, he was somewhat correct because the Sacramento Republic are taking on the Hartford Athletic on Saturday. And I just wanted to see if you had a, prediction for who takes, that home. And kind of the pivot was kind of cool seeing Greenville make it to the semifinals. I knew when we played them, we talked a little bit about that, but they did get bounced in the semifinals. So that could be a point for why they could sneak in, less games to play. And kind of crazy that if you make it to the Jägermeister Cup, it really does go all year and so many extra games that you got to play to get there. So Hartford Athletic versus Sacramento Republic. Who you got?
Sacramento 3-1. I have no other information on that, but that's what I'm going to go with. Sacramento 3-1.
I think I might have to be a Sacramento Republic fan just with how bad the Roots are. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a 2-1 Sacramento victory.
Will
Um,
you be in attendance at the Jägermeister Cup final?
so I was gonna go, however, I will be back in South Florida that weekend. So poor planning on my part, honestly. I do such a good job planning around FC Naples games, Forest games, Florida Panthers games. I'm flying back so I can go to the season opener for the Panthers. I do a really good job at that. I am gonna have to apologize that I didn't check the Jägermeister Cup to see if there was a potential final happening that weekend. But I will commit to if FC Naples was playing in Sacramento this weekend, I would have changed my flight, no doubt. Maybe would have hit up the team to see if I could have flown back after the game with them, seeing if I could have. Hey, I'm gonna cancel my flight so I can go. Can I get a ride back? Um, so yeah, well, something to watch on Saturday if you have nothing else going.
No, yeah, I love it. All right,
So
let's
score
do
line.
score line.
You
What do you
go
have
first.
for? All right,
No, you
I,
first. You first.
I'm gonna go 2-2. I think I like a 2-2 here. We come away with a point. Omaha has found some form. I think it's. I no. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna go 1-1. I think we'll get a goal.
Oh,
I think Omaha will get a goal. I think we figured some stuff out of the back. I think their goal is going to be a soft penalty, some home cooking maybe. I don't know. We mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to go 1-1. We come away from Omaha with a point, and we're better off for it. Paul, what about you?
I'm gonna go 3-2 Naples. I just think we took the lid off and goals are gonna start flowing, hopefully. The counter will be on point, road game. Um, but I'm probably in the camp, and I'm sure you're in the same boat. If I said we could take a point right now and not have to fly to Omaha, are you taking the point?
Oh, sign me up for it. Especially this time of year, every point's going to matter. Yeah, sign me up for it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things that I think that it's going to be too late, and Union Omaha needs the 3 points, so I think they're going to push for it, and we're going to find. Can I go back to Stein again? Can I just keep guessing him to score
Keep
until
guessing
he
it until
does?
you're right. Yeah, I think that's the
Uh,
move.
it is possible that he never scores, and I am never right, but I like Henderlong and Onan to get on the board. Again, did we update Golden Boot where Henderlong didn't get on the score sheet? So I'm assuming he is now behind
He is.
in
He's
that
two
race.
goals back from the guy from Westchester, Bergeron, or it's something like that. He's 2 goals back from him. He's the guy from Westchester's on 14. Henderlong's on 12, and then Christian Cheney from Charlotte is on 11. So Henderlong's going to need some goals here to close out the season. Maybe he gets a hat trick in 2 weeks against Westchester and puts him back on top.
Oh, how awesome would that be? A hat trick at their field to take over the Golden Boot.
That would be most exciting. And then yeah, maybe more goals in the last 2 games of the season and just clinches it, right?
That's how the story works. That's the script.
Couldn't write it better myself. Delgado too, if you're keeping score at home, is still in contention for the Golden Glove for clean sheets. He's on 7. And then you've got the keepers from Knoxville and Spokane right above them, both on 8. We did mention we were going to get to him. He did go off late in the game against AV Alta. It looked like pointing to his leg. The same leg that we saw was wrapped up against Portland. So we're wishing him a speedy recovery and hope to have him back for this Sunday against Omaha. So hopefully Delgado back in the net on Sunday. Paul, anything else you want to add before we go?
That's it. Great job to the team for clinching the playoff game. Shout out to the fans for always being supportive and looking forward to hopefully at least 3 more games.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, 2 more games at home, 4 more regular
Have
season
we
games to go.
clarified before I start really pitching for us to get this home playoff game? Do my beer tokens count at playoff games? I think these are the important questions that people want to know.
These are very important questions. I do not know the answer to that, so we'll have to try and get the answer.
And we'll get back to you next episode.
Hopefully. But yeah, hopefully we get at least 3 more home playoff games on top of the 2
Do we
we
get
already
more
have.
beer tokens if we make the playoffs? Do we get more beer tokens? These are the questions.
This is why we should have been journalists, because we could actually go and ask them these questions about the beer tokens, the real hard-hitting questions here that you come to Forza Naples for. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening. We'll be back soon. Until then, up the Naples.